Hello, welcome to the Academic Society. I'm Dr. Toyin Ali. I have my PhD in math and I am a lecturer at a university. And I'm excited to share with you because I went through all 5 years of grad school getting my PhD, and there was something that I noticed about me compared to the other graduate students in my program. And that I had a few soft skills, background skills, things that I knew that would set me up for success in grad school that the my other grad student cohort didn't know yet. It was things that they learned on the way, but when I realized that, and after I got my PhD, I was like, I need to be telling these incoming grad students all the things that I knew and all of the things that I learned when I started grad school, because unfortunately, there is literally just not enough information about the grad school process, what all it takes, what you're expected to do. It's kind of just like this black box of mystery that no one really knows what it is until you actually get in it. So, I'm here to share what you can expect when you go to grad school. So, one thing that I've learned in my 7 years of talking, almost 8 years of talking with grad students about their experiences, is that the first semester of grad school is the hardest. And there are three major mistakes that first year grad students always make. And don't worry if you make them, you will recover. Grad students recover from these mistakes. But it's really nice if you know going in what mistakes to avoid. It will help your experience so much. So that's what I'm going to be sharing today. 3 mistakes to avoid in your first semester of grad school. And really, it's about setting realistic expectations. So let's just jump right in. So, you know that this class is for you if the following statements resonate with you right now. So, if you are starting grad school very soon and you've heard that grad school is different than undergrad, but you don't exactly know how it's different, then you're absolutely in the right place. If you wish you knew exactly what you could start doing to prepare yourself for a successful first semester of grad school, if you resonate with that, you're like, oh my gosh, I have this time between undergrad and grad school starting. I wish that there was something I could be doing. There's absolutely stuff that you can be doing. And then you really want to make a good first impression in grad school, but you don't want to come across as naive or asking too many questions and coming across as annoying or not smart. That's totally normal to have those feelings. We're going to talk about overcoming those. So if any of these resonated with you, definitely let me know in the comments or in the chat. Okay, and so there are multiple ways that you can prepare yourself for grad school, but I find that students fall into two camps. They fall into this first camp, like Lisa, if they go into grad school not hearing about the academic society and not learning what I'm going to be telling you today. So, a lot of people go into grad school like this. This is Lisa. I call her the researcher. So, Lisa has no idea what to expect in grad school, and she's frustrated with the lack of resources and radio silence from her new department. Like, she got her acceptance letter, she got her funding package, but then it's silent. She has to wait until the semester begins to figure out what her next steps are. So she researches grad school tips on Google and YouTube for any guidance. That may be how you found me or found this video. And she starts following grad school influencers, which I love that these exist now. There are people online talking about their grad school experience, and it's so helpful. However, she's not exactly sure what to search for, but she's just at this point, any information is better than no information. What do I need to be doing? So it's a lot of research going on. So most grad students go into grad school as Lisa, the researcher. There's also another way. There's Lonnie, who I call the grad boss. Now, Lonnie knows what to do to prepare for grad school. She uses the time before grad school to work on the skills that will help her succeed in grad school. She learns mindset techniques to reduce imposter syndrome, so important. She reaches out, and we're going to talk about imposter syndrome today as well. She reaches out to current grad students in her program to learn about the culture and community in her new department. She learns how, when and where she learns best, to master time management and optimize productivity, right? These are like time management and productivity. These are skills that you're expected to have in grad school, but you're never actually taught these things. You just kind of figure it out along the way. She worked on that before she got to grad school. And Lonnie, she focuses on the things that will make the biggest impact in her grad school experience. That is what she's doing with the time before grad school. So that's why I call her the grad boss. So there are two options here going into grad school. Do you want to be the Lisa or do you want to be the Lonnie? I would love to see in the comments or the chat a one or a two. Both are valid. Both are how people go into grad school and are successful. They're just different challenges. And specifically to overcome those challenges as you go into grad school, I came up with a method that I call the Grad Boss method. Now, Grad Boss is a term that I made up, and I'm going to define it for you later on in this class. But I came up with a way to help grad students prepare for their first semester of grad school. Erica says, Lonnie, for sure. Exactly. You absolutely want to be the Lonnie. Okay, so that's where I come in. So I help new grad students learn about the culture and the experience of grad school. I help them transition from an undergraduate mindset to a grad school mindset and organize and manage all of those day-to-day tasks of grad school that just seem overwhelming and like never ending. I help new grad students prepare for their first semester of grad school without feeling overly anxious about the unknown because it's not going to be unknown to them. And so at the end of this class today, I'm going to invite you to join my hashtag GradBoss learning community, which is part community, part accountability, part grad school resources. I'll tell you more about it at the end, but I just wanted to give you a chance to check it out if you don't want to wait that long. Okay, so let's talk about the Lisa and Lonnie. So basically what I do is I help turn incoming grad students from Lisa the researcher and turn them into Lonnie the grad boss. So you want to make sure that when you're going into grad school, you want to avoid the typical pitfalls that most grad students make in their first semester. And so that's what my Grad Boss method does. It teaches you what to do before your first semester so that you don't have as many stumblings. And I know you're probably thinking, my semester starts like in 3 days. And that is totally okay because you can learn these things in just a few hours. So after talking with a lot of grad students, I have identified 3 big mistakes that are keeping, especially those first year new grad students, stuck in that imposter syndrome, that's overwhelm, in that procrastination, and just makes them really have a hard time in their first semester of grad school. So I'm going to share these 3 mistakes with you and how to overcome those 3 big mistakes, or actually avoid them altogether. Mistake number 1 is thinking this: my undergraduate study habits and note-taking skills will get me through grad school. That is a mistake to believe that. And it makes sense that you might believe that, right? We might believe that preparing and studying for a grad school class will take the same amount of time and effort as it did in undergrad. Why? Because if you made it to grad school, it's likely that your study skills have yet to fail you. You have very strong study skills. So it's very easy to believe that your study skills are sufficient for grad school. But if you've never taken a graduate course before, or 3 grad courses at the same time, how can you know what is actually required to do well in those classes? So here's what you might be used to. This was definitely me when I was in undergrad. I was the type of student who would just show up to class, take notes, and study those notes, and I would be good. I would pass, make A's on my tests. I would have enough to write my papers, all that. I just showed up for class and studied what I did in class. I barely did any reading outside of class. However, that is not what you need to be doing in grad school. So let's kind of like take a snapshot of what typically goes down in undergrad and actually works for undergrad. So typically so if you think about this as like your energy level or the amount of time you're spending engaging with the course material, before class, you're probably not doing anything. You're not reading ahead of time before you get to class. But in class, that's when you start to get more engaged with the content because the professor is lecturing, maybe you're working in groups, you're taking notes. So the engagement builds up. But then after class, you're really not thinking about that class anymore. So there's like a lull that happens after class where you're not engaging with the course content. But then when the homework assignment comes in, then it's like, okay, well, I need to go back over my notes, see what we talked about so that I can get my homework done. So that engagement increases. You're really kind of deep diving into the content of the course. And then maybe after the homework, you kind of stop thinking about it a little bit. And then comes the big test, the big paper, or the big project. And that's when you're like full effort. I'm going all in. I'm engaging the most with this course content. That's pretty normal for a grad school experience. And so let's talk about Lisa, the researcher who didn't work on her study skills, who didn't know that maybe more things are required for grad school. So Lisa gets her first assignment and, you know, it takes some time. She has to actually understand what the assignment is asking, right? And then once she figures out what the assignment is asking, she takes some time to review her notes. Okay, what did I learn about in class? And let me take a look at my homework. Were there any conclusions that I can draw from my homework that can help me with the assignment? Maybe some conclusions, but she needs a little bit more. So she has to read some supplemental material to get the full picture. But then she's not quite sure how to put it all together and turn it into a high quality, cohesive assignment to turn in. So she goes to office hours to ask her professor for help to see what they're really looking for. And then after all of that, going over the notes, drawing conclusions from homework, reading supplemental material, going to office hours for help, now she truly understands the assignment or truly understands the topic and can complete the actual assignment. And that's a lot of work. That could be 15 to 20 hours of work on one assignment in grad school. And then to make matters worse, Lisa ends up making a C on the assignment because her ideas weren't completely fleshed out because she was only thinking about it for a couple of days. Like, can you imagine spending 15 to 20 hours of work on your grad school assignment and then you just make a C? Unfortunately, that happens to a lot of grad students all the time going in their first semester. They're like, oh my gosh, I'm going to do so well on this assignment. I'm going to spend so much time on this assignment. And then the grade just doesn't reflect the effort. And so if it's going to take 15 to 20 hours on one assignment, what happens when you have 3 to 4 assignments due in the same week? Is it feasible to spend that much time on every single assignment? It's not. And that's when you get super overwhelmed. That's when you get super anxious because you're like, how am I going to pass this class? How am I going to make it through grad school if I'm doing all of this work and I can't get the grades? So with that overwhelm, you have to choose one of two options. Either choose one thing to focus on and okay, this is the thing. I'm going to do really well on this one thing. Or you kind of just give minimal effort on all of the assignments and they're all kind of like B, C level work. And that's not what we want. That's not a choice you want to have to make. You want to do high quality work every single time in grad school. So instead of the up and down that we might have done in that we might have done in undergrad, what grad school actually requires is not the up and down, not having the lulls in engaging in the course content. And something that I had to learn because I was coming into my grad classes cold, trying to do what I did in undergrad, just show up to class and take notes. And I would be like, how does everyone around me already know this? My classmates were reading the textbook before we even got to class. So in grad school, what it requires is pre-reading. So pre-class reading, pre-class notes, actually dive deep into the content before you even get to class. So that in class, you can participate in the in-class discussion and develop your thoughts and frameworks even deeper and actually have more context to what the instructor is saying and your classmates' perspectives as well. And then taking that information that you learned in class, to create a new set of notes, post class reading and notes to really put all of the concepts together. That way, if you notice, the transition from post class reading and notes to homework is not that steep, right? You're already forming ideas and forming your own perspective on the concepts. So it doesn't actually take that much work to do your homework and work in your study group or go to office hours because you kind of know what you may have misconceptions about early. And then it actually doesn't even take that much effort to do the big test or the big paper or the big project because you're just building on the knowledge that you are already acquiring. You're constantly engaging with the content. So it's not that big of a leap to actually do well on the assignment. So if you follow those steps, you can go through your first assignment like a grad boss like Lonnie. So here's what Lonnie does instead. She starts the assignment as soon as it's given, not a few days before it's due. And then she just reviews her notes because she's already taken notes before class, after class. She got homework stuff. So she's just reviewing the notes and reviewing her already developed conclusions. She's not developing anything new. She's just making sure she has what she needs. She's reviewing her notes from her supplemental material. She goes to office hours to discuss her first draft. She's not even coming at office hours completely lost. She already has a draft of the assignment. She just wants to make sure she's on the right track. She might consult with her fellow grad students, see what they're up to, provide some feedback to them. They provide feedback to her, and then she completes the assignment. And so, because she did a lot of work ahead of time and was consistently engaging with the content, it only takes her maybe 5 to 10 hours to do the assignment. And on top of that, oh, Lonnie's making an A because she has been studying and building her ideas for weeks. This isn't new to her. She's just writing down what she already knows. And so I kind of want to put these two cases side by side. And let's think about a 5-day assignment arc, meaning you get the assignment one day and it's due like 5 or 6 days after that. Well, Lisa, the researcher, she's not doing the pre-work. She's not really engaging with the course content the whole time. So on the day she learns about the assignment, she's not working on the assignment. So she puts 0 hours in. The next day, well, the assignment is not due for multiple days. So she's not working until the assignment is due in like 2 or 3 days. So on day 3, she's like, okay, I need to get to work. Let me start working on this assignment. And she realizes, uh-oh, I don't even understand what the assignment is even asking. So she has to do this like background research and supplemental material to figure out, well, what is this assignment even asking me to do? Day 4, she's like, okay, I'm working, but I need some more help. So she has to go to office hours. Then she has to apply the feedback from the office hours. And then on the last day, day 5, she's like, oh, I got to get this assignment done. So maybe she's pulling an all-nighter, working really hard to get that assignment done. And that is a lot of hours. I can't quite see. I think that says 15 hours here. That's a lot of hours. However, Lonnie has been engaging with the course material this whole time. So the day the assignment is given, she's already started working before she even knew what the assignment was. And so she spends the first day just like understanding the assignment, kind of brainstorming, gathering her ideas, coming up with a plan for what she's going to do on the assignment. And so day 2, she spends a couple hours implementing. Day 3, another couple hours. Day 4, she basically finishes the assignment. And day 5, she's just reviewing things, proofreading, making sure that she's collected all of her thoughts in a way that she feels is quality work. And then that's only like 8 hours here. And so here is a big misconception that incoming grad students have. They often believe that if they work really hard in grad school, they will see grad school success. They will get the grades that they want. And so grad students will come to me very frustrated because they're spending hours and working so hard on their assignments and they're not getting the grades that they want to get. And that's because in grad school, working hard does not equal grad school success. Just working hard is not enough. Yeah, Coco said, I like the idea of breaking it down to smaller sections. Absolutely. I strongly encourage that. So I ask you, who would you rather be in grad school? Lisa, who spends 15 to 20 hours on the assignment and makes a C? Or Lonnie, who spends 5 to 10 hours on the assignment and makes an A? Who would you like to be? Let me know in the chat or in the comments. Who are you trying to be? Lisa or Lonnie? So here's the thing. When you are consistently engaging with your course material, less effort is required to prepare the big test, paper, or project. So it's not really the amount of work or the amount of time you're spending on the work. It's the consistently engaging with the course content that matters most in grad school. So it's actually possible to prepare for more than one big assignment in a day. Because Lonnie is winning for sure. For sure. That's exactly who we want to be in grad school. So I was mentioning, if it takes like way too long to get those assignments done, how can you do more than one assignment in a week, right? But when you're consistently engaging with the course content, you can prepare for more than one big assignment in a day without experiencing the burnout, because it's going to take you less time because your thoughts are already formed. All right, let's get into mistake number 2. Do not go into your first year of grad school thinking, I am not smart enough. It's so easy to think that and have that imposter syndrome set in, but this is a huge mistake. You're counting yourself out before you even get started. And this happens because we tend to believe, especially in the first semester of grad school, that we aren't as smart as our fellow grad students. And we end up thinking, well, everybody else just has a stronger background than me. And that's why I'm not doing well in the classes, right? That's why I feel like I got to work harder than everybody else, because everyone just has a stronger background. And I understand why you might feel that other people's background is stronger than you. It's actually the case that everyone's background is different, not necessarily stronger, but different. And that difference can make it feel like everyone's background is stronger or better than yours. So here are the different type of grad students that you might come across in your grad program. You're going to meet grad students in your program who already have a master's degree. They've already experienced grad school. And so it's easy to compare yourself to that person and feel imposter syndrome, like you don't belong or they're more prepared than you. You're going to come across grad students who have work experience. So they've already been working in the field that you're learning about. So they know all the vocabulary and the context and how to apply all the things you're learning for the first time. So that's very easy to feel intimidated by and feel that imposter syndrome. You're going to meet grad students who went straight from undergrad to grad school. So they've had no time off. They are very comfortable in the school environment. And maybe you're someone who took some time off and went to work first, and it's been a long time since you've been in school and you don't know about the new technology. How are you going to handle the classes along with your real life and all of that? So it's easy to look at a student whose just only job is to be a student and feel and compare yourself to them and think, oh man, if I had just stayed in school this whole time, maybe I would have been set up better. You're going to meet grad students in your program who has a lot of research experience, and maybe you haven't done any research at all. And you're like, wow, they already know how to do research in this field. Like, I'm just now learning about research methods. I'm just learning what kind of things are possible, and they've already done the thing. And you're also going to meet grad students in your program who have gone to a prestigious undergrad institution, and maybe you went to a state school like I did, and you might think, well, they had more higher levels of classes. They were able to take grad classes as an undergrad. They had all these top professors they were learning from. And so it's easy to compare yourself to these people. But guess what? You're one of these people. I bet you can classify yourself as one or even more of these grad students here. So there are going to be other students in your program looking to you like, oh my gosh, they are better set up for this program than me. Literally everyone in your program is going to feel imposter syndrome for one reason or another, and everyone's background is different, not better. And so it can be very intimidating to meet these people with different backgrounds than you. Everyone deals with imposter syndrome in grad school. It is a fact. And just because you have imposter syndrome doesn't mean that you can't still do well in grad school. So one thing that I want to share is that imposter syndrome is not like an actual disease, right? You don't have to take medicine for it. It's just a psychological pattern in which an individual doubts their skills, talents, or accomplishments and has a persistent internalized fear of being exposed as a fraud. Like, oh no, everyone in my program is going to find out that I don't actually belong here. That's the imposter syndrome. You fear that someone's going to find out that you don't belong in your program. But it sounds doom and gloom. But the great news about imposter syndrome is that it's just a thought. It's literally a belief. It could even be an emotion, right? Like I said, it's not an actual disease. It's a thought, a belief, or an emotion. And here's the great news: we can change our thoughts. We can literally change what we think. So you can get yourself out of imposter syndrome. So there are very specific mindset shifts that we have to overcome to be successful in grad school. And we're going to work through one of them together right now. So, like I said, you can change your thoughts. So, what we're going to do right now is a process you can apply when you're in grad school feeling imposter syndrome, and it's the process of reversing a belief. All right. So, first you're going to identify the belief. Then you're going to create the opposite affirmation. You're going to look for evidence of that affirmation and then write down the evidence of the affirmation. Don't worry, we're going to go through this step by step. Step one, identify the belief. So if you're feeling the imposter syndrome, you're feeling like you're a fraud in your program and everyone's going to find you out, you want to identify what belief is leading you there. And it might be as simple as you believe that you don't belong in your grad program. So let's say, for example, that's the belief that you're holding inside. I don't belong in my grad program. The first step is just identify it. Second step, create the opposite affirmation. So if you believe you don't belong in your program, then the opposite of that is I belong in my program. You're going to write that down. And so here's the thing. When we have a belief, our brains are kind of like hardwired to support the belief that we have so that we keep believing it. And so you actually have to do work to reverse the belief. So if you feel that you don't belong in your grad program, you're going to be like, oh, in class, you're going to be thinking, wow, I didn't know the answer to that question. Seems like everybody else already knows this but me. I didn't do well on this quiz. I have no idea what this assignment is asking me for. And so you're coming up, all of these things seem bigger to you because you believe that you don't belong in your program. And it's not as easy to see the evidence of the opposite. So you have to try really hard to look for the evidence of the opposite affirmation. So if you believe that if your opposite affirmation is, I belong in my program, well, what's the evidence of that? Well, you applied for it. And not just one person, a whole graduate committee accepted your application. Not just the people in your department, but the whole graduate school accepted your application. You actually do belong in the program just by being accepted, right? And then you want to actually write down this evidence because your brain's not going to see it on its own. And you have to convince yourself of this, that you actually do belong. So every time you complete a reading assignment, that means you belong in the program. You wouldn't be reading it if you don't belong there, right? Maybe you were able to answer a question in class. Write that down. Just you enjoying to learn about the subject is reason enough for you to be in the program. Or maybe something like what you want to become after you get the degree. I want to be a this thing. I need the degree for this thing. So I belong in the program if I want to be this career choice. All right. So the truth here is that you are a graduate student, emphasis on student, right? You don't need to know everything. If you already knew all the stuff, you would already have the degree. And so a lot of people in grad school are so afraid to ask questions. I'm like, that's what you're here for. You're here to learn. So never feel ashamed about asking questions in grad school. You are literally a student. You are there to learn. You should not be a master already. If you are a master already, you need to tell them to give you the degree already. All right, mistake number 3. This is the last one we'll talk about today. Is believing that my graduate advisor or my supervisor will help me be successful. And I know maybe controversial because like literally one of the most important decisions in grad school is who you choose to be your graduate advisor or supervisor. But solely depending on them is a mistake. So we often believe that our advisor will provide everything we need to know to succeed in grad school because I mean, they are the ones who determine if and when you graduate. So they are important, but they're not everything you need. Right? Your advisor is here to help you with your research development. They help you with publishing papers. They help you with presenting at conferences, even finding conferences for you to present at. They're going to be the ones writing your letters of recommendation when you are applying for jobs in the future. This is what your advisor is here for. But what about these other things like administrative tasks? They're like different forms that you have to fill out at different stages of your program. Or like, what about insight on classes? Like, how do you know like which professor you should be taking or like what to expect in each professor's class? Is your advisor going to be able to tell you that? Um, or even like what to expect at each stage of your program. Like, what do I need to be doing in year one of my program? What's expected of me in year two, year three, year four, year five? Are they going to be able to tell you those like small incremental things that you need to know? Or like, what about just study tips? Like maybe you're finding that your study skills aren't from undergrad aren't helpful in grad school. Is your advisor really the person who's going to help you get stronger study skills in this field? Or just like any other useful resources to help you along the way? Who is that person? Because it's not the advisor. They're helping with the research stuff. They're typically not the first person you want to call when you have questions about these topics. So they're actually more knowledgeable people that you need in your first semester of grad school. Let's talk about them. These people are your fellow grad students. And I know a lot of people go into grad school thinking, I'm just going to do me. None of these people are like me. So I'm going to do my own thing. And you isolate yourself. That is literally the biggest mistake in all of grad school. You actually do need your fellow grad students, even if you're in an online program. And I'll talk about that as well. So in fact, there are 2 grad students that you need to build a relationship with as soon as you start grad school. 2 grad students. So make sure you find them when you start your program. Number 1 is an older grad student, and number 2 is an accountability partner. And by older grad student, I don't mean age. I just mean they're farther along in the process. Like if you're in year 1, maybe they're in year 2 or 3 or 4 or 5, right? Okay, so I actually asked the students in my community, I was like, what are some things you wish you had known before you started grad school? Because I'm creating this presentation and I want to like share some things. And one student said, I wish I had realized the importance of having a mentor, particularly another PhD student a year or 2 ahead of me or recently finished. I figured this out after many unnecessary and unfruitful months of feeling like I was the only one feeling imposter syndrome, overwhelm, doubt, etc. They were also invaluable in helping know what to expect at each stage of the process. Let me tell you, I had the very same experience. When I was in grad school, I was preparing to take my qualifying exam. So this is the exam that we have to take to become a PhD candidate, to start our research and all of this stuff. And I became friends with an older grad student, and he gave me his whole binder of everything he studied to pass his qualifying exams. And it had notes, it had old tests, it had old qualifying exam stuff in there. And I don't know if I would have passed my qualifying exams without that folder. I would have never gotten that folder if I hadn't befriended that older grad student who could help me out. So these people are invaluable. So how do you find this person? How do you get a grad student mentor? Well, the people in the office know the grad student, right? You can just email the office staff or the graduate advisor for recommendations. Like, hi, I would love to be connected with a grad student further along in the program so I can learn about expectations and get tips on what helped me. Let me tell you, they actually know these people because I was that person. When I was in grad school, like later years, I was the grad student who was chosen to be the teaching mentor for other grad students who were just starting to teach because I had been teaching and did very well. When prospective grad students would come on campus, I would be the one that they would ask to meet with them because I was having such a great experience in grad school. So the office staff, the graduate advisor, they already have identified the right people. You just need to figure out how to meet them. So email those people. Let's talk about the accountability partner. So, the accountability partner is someone who is at the same stage of grad school as you. So, they can be in your cohort, but they can also be just another grad student in a different program, but also in the same stage as you. Right. And so, the way I really loved working with my accountability partner in grad school was literally just check in at the beginning and end of each week. Right. So, you can set up a time to meet in person or virtually. So it doesn't matter if you're in online classes or in person classes. You can meet with this person via text, Zoom, whatever you want, and set goals for yourself for the week. And as you're setting your goals, your accountability partner can help you set realistic goals, right? You may have all these big dreams, and your partner's like, but you know you have this thing due, right? How are you gonna do this and turn in this assignment on time? And you're like, oh yeah, you're right. Let me fix these goals and make them more realistic. And then at the end of the week, you can check back in and say, all right, I did these 3 things. Or your accountability partner will be like, how'd you do this week? And you're like, I only did 1 of 3 things. And just by the nature of that accountability relationship, you're not going to want to let them down. You're not going to want to come in week after week and be like, well, I didn't do the things I said I was going to do again. Up another week, I didn't do the things I said I was going to do. They are going to drop you as an accountability partner. So if you want to keep your partner, you got to stay on track, right? And so accountability partners, I literally cannot advocate for those more. So there are going to be days when you lose focus and you lack motivation to get any work done. It's going to be your accountability partner that's going to help you out of that funk just from the nature of your relationship. Like I said, 1 week is fine, but you're not going to be coming in week after week not getting anything done. They're going to help you get yourself back together. Now, your graduate advisor, definitely important for sure, but there are other people that you will need when you start grad school. Building a grad school community is absolutely key. It is a huge mistake to isolate yourself in your graduate program. And so I talked about, like, even if you're online and you can't, and like maybe the people in your cohort are not responsive to you. There are so many grad students in the world. You are not limited to your physical location or your school or your program. You can absolutely connect with graduate students online, and that can be as much accountability and support that you need. So I want to share a community with you, and not just any community. It's a learning community. I'll explain what that means, but it's called the hashtag Grad Boss Learning Community, and it's literally every resource, course, tool, tip, advice, everything I've ever created for the Academic Society exists inside of this community. It's awesome. I've been throwing the word grad boss around a lot, so let me explain what a grad boss is. Like I said, it's a word I made up and I've defined it for you. So a grad boss is a grad student who has figured out how to balance grad school and real life. They are productive, but they also have a social life. They build a supportive community around them and they help others. So, one of my big missions is to share with grad students and professors that you can be a successful academic and live a fulfilling life at the same time. Like, grad school is long. So much life happens while you're in grad school. So, you don't want to like pause your life just to do grad school. You can do both at the same time and you can be successful in both at the same time. You just have to understand how to manage your time well. You need to understand how to be productive when it's actually time to get your work done. You need to be working your optimal hours, right? You need to be using these success tools to help you get through the program. So let me tell you a little bit more about the community. It's awesome. It's on a platform called School. It has its own app, so you can literally exist here without having to get on social media because that can be distracting. So you can connect with a supportive community of like-minded grad students who I call grad bosses. And so inside the community, we got weekly goal setting and check-ins. We celebrate our wins and accomplishments every week because that builds up that like self-confidence and it helps you like want to keep going the next week. We have daily co-working for that accountability so you actually get the work done. And we have a calendar of special events that you can join in on. So, like I said, a weekly check-in. So every single week, so this is this week, I check in with the group and I do a goal setting prompt. I said it's Monday, goal and intention setting day. Let's set some realistic goals for the week. What are your top 3 goals that you'll be working on this week? And so then everyone shares. So I have a framework about you shouldn't be having more than 3 goals every single week because you're not going to be able to do them. So 3 goals. So students are sharing what they're working on. So one person's going to start and finish updates to their second paper to send back to the professor, prepare for a family visit, cleaning, and rest, watching a movie, Aquaman. So I love the balance of schoolwork, family life. This other person says create a comps study plan. So they're studying for their comps, write out goals for the semester, schedule a doctor and therapist appointment. This student says travel home from Ireland to Scotland. So it is an international group. Try and complete study plan for coursework, rest after a long 14-hour journey. Then some other people are connecting on a few things. Revisions to chapter 1, fixing their informed consent, possibly work on chapter for a second book and continue walking and moving. All right, so every week I come in and I ask you what you're working on. And then on Saturday, at the end of the week, I come back. I'm like, all right, checking back in. How did it go with those updates? What was the family visit like? Did you do that appointment? Like, I'm coming back in and I'm your accountability each week as well. And then we have co-working every single day. So there's a 24/7 co-working space, and all you have to do is like post in the group and be like, hey, I'm going to be working. Anybody want to work with me? You can put a fun gift there. And I actually took this screenshot today. So it's 6:42 p.m. If you're watching this, you can join Leah at 7 p.m. in the co-working room. Leah says, hey, everyone, I plan to co-work today around 7 p.m. Eastern. If anyone wants to join me, let me know. Shani says, I will see you there, sweetie. Shani is a older student. I don't know if older is the right word. I think she's in her 40s, but she's awesome. She's like such a supportive member of our community, and she's in an online program, and she really depends on this community for support. So if you want to co-work, Shani will probably be down to co-work with you. And then at the end of every week on Friday, we celebrate wins and celebrations every single week because it does build that confidence. It builds that hunger to like really kill it in the next week as well. So Debs is saying, I've already shared my news that my first journal paper has won an award, still buzzing. Love that. And then let's see, I think I meant to include another one, but like someone else literally just bought textbooks. Like it can be big, it can be small, right? We also have special events. And so this one's actually very timely. We're doing your financial orientation next week. So it's just like you have your school orientation to like understand the new university, your classes and things like that. You got to understand your finances and what your funding package means for how you can spend money, how you can save, budgeting, and even like taxes. And so Dr. Emily Roberts, she's my go-to person because I'm not a finance expert, but Dr. Emily Roberts is. She has a podcast called Personal Finance for PhDs. Strongly encourage checking that out. But she's doing a live workshop just for the students in the community on your financial orientation. And then later in the semester, we're going to have Asia Spears, who is a statistics graduate student, and she's going to talk about how to interpret data and statistics. Because I know if you're not in a math field, stats can be very challenging in grad school. So these are the 2 events we're going to have this semester, and then we'll have more events next semester. And workshop recordings will remain in the community for 30 days. So if you miss it live, you can still check it out. So not only is a community with check-ins and we got special events, You actually have content that you can use to build up those skills that you need to survive and even thrive in grad school. So you may have, if you're familiar with me, you know I have a course called Grad School Prep. This is the course for incoming grad students to help them learn what to expect in their first semester of grad school, actually prepare for their first semester of grad school so they show up ready to go and like just have a really strong start. That course is inside the community. My focus program. So this is my program where I help you basically get your work done without burning out and procrastinating. And also my time management essentials course. I love this one because it's like 30 minutes and it's like literally ready to go. Like these are skills you can like implement today and start managing your time better. So that's inside the community. Also my Notion template. So if you like to organize your stuff online in one single place, I've created Notion templates that are already built, and you just got to put in your to-do lists and schedule in there. That's in the community. My book. So I wrote a book called #Grad Boss, a grad school survival guide to help you transition from undergrad to grad school, help you overcome imposter syndrome, work on your time management. I talk about choosing an advisor, how to make friends in grad school. So that book, you can purchase it on Amazon or read the ebook, which is in the community. We got other resources like a CV workshop, job application crash course, and of course, our daily co working sessions. We have special workshops and events and fun bonus extras. So, the really cool thing about the platform that the community is on is that the more you engage and talk to people, the more points you get. And when you get more points, you unlock fun goodies. So I didn't want to like lock actual content that you need for grad school. So I've locked fun extras like my TV recommendations, my favorite home workout playlists and things. So the more you engage in like my journal prompts, you can unlock things like that. And I'll also be unlocking like how you can make money from inviting your friends to join the community as well. And if I were to sell these things separately, I would say it would be about $600 or so dollars, but obviously that's not feasible for a grad student. I wanted to make the community as accessible as possible. So yes, it is only $10. You can get in here for $10 a month and literally cancel at any time. Like you can go through, learn all the things in 30 days, and then you're done. Like you've gotten all this stuff for $10. But I would love it if you would stay around so that you can participate in all the additional events, the co-working sessions, and all of that as well. Also, if you want to add on and join me every single month, we do these monthly virtual planning sessions on the last Saturday of every month. So there's one coming up next Saturday where we go through my project management for academics framework. And we just have a good time. We like plan out the month. We recommit and refocus on our goals just so they're like top of mind. And the cool thing is, it's actually not part of the community like membership. Like it's not a monthly fee to join these planning sessions. You've joined once and you have access to every month's planning session and recording for as long as you're in the community. It's just like a one-time upsell because I kind of like to keep the planning sessions a little small. It's normally $47, but if you join right away, it's $37. So that's a pretty cool thing. And then let's learn from a few people in the community, like Sydney, who's getting her master's in business administration. She said, I've passed 3 classes being a part of this group. The strategies you teach has helped organize me and incorporate strategy and wellness, which has resulted in me seeing success. So again, it's not just about the schoolwork. You want to be able to live your life as well. So you need to be healthy to do that. And then Shanice says, who's getting a PhD in psychology, when you're in academia, whether as a traditional or non-traditional student, it's nice to have a cohort that you can lean on for support, accountability, and connections. I enjoy the workshop. So Shanice always in the planning sessions, which the planning sessions are a great way to get to know the community members even more and like plan out those co-working sessions together. So she said, I enjoy the workshops, the planning sessions, how to get through grad school, etc. Because you're working with others and sharing experiences. I've learned that planning with structure and prioritization helps get work done. I'm not the only one sometimes feeling overwhelmed. It's a safe space where we all thrive. Lastly, it helps a lot for me as an online doctoral student. Um, and sorry, there's something in front of this, so I can't quite see. It gives the human interaction, and the process does not feel doubly isolated. So again, I really believe that isolating yourself in grad school is the worst decision that you could ever make. And so if you are feeling like you're not connecting with the students in your program, connect with grad students online. Like, you can connect with them as well. So I'm so glad and, like, honored that I can provide that support for Shani, who is in an online program and doesn't actually know her cohort. So, if you are ready to join the hashtag Grad Boss Learning community, the doors are open. I would love for you to join us in there. It's at theacademicsociety.com/grad boss. Also, you can just scan this QR code, literally $10 a month. You can absolutely cancel after 1 month. I even have a lesson on like how to cancel. So it's not like hidden from you. I just want you to get the resources that you need to do well in your program. All right, so that is all I had to share. These are the 3 mistakes that you should absolutely avoid in grad school. Here's a supportive community. Does anyone have any questions for me? Also, I'm very impressed with myself for getting it done in less than an hour. Love that. And also, I will share my grad school prep course. It is still available to purchase separately. It is not $10. So if you want to get it for $10, this is how you can get it for $10. It's like the cheat code. All right, I'm not seeing any questions, so thank you so much for joining in. If you do find that you have questions after I've ended this live, please leave them in the comments or in the chats, and I will answer them later. Have a wonderful day and best wishes in your grad school experience. I'm wishing you the best, and I want you to start strong. So definitely lean on the support in your programs. All right, have a great day. Bye.